Yo, what's up, folks? This Impact, and I want to take this time to welcome you all back to the Hurt Business 101. Let's get right into this video, man. Today's video, I want to discuss the narrative going around about a fight that we could possibly get that would be great for the sport of boxing, but somehow, all of a sudden, people acting like they don't want to see it take place because they think it's not fair. And that's Tank Davis versus Devin Haney. Let's get right into this video. We got a segment of boxing fans that are now, and content creators, and I'm mainly blaming the content creators because they have the platforms and the fans are just responding to what they say, that are now pushing this narrative that Devin Haney is somehow all of a sudden too big and strong for Tank Davis. When just before the Regis Prograis fight, he was pillow-fisted, had no chin, couldn't punch his way out of a wet paper bag, and all of these other things, and would get knocked out to now after going up to 140 and defeating Regis Prograis in dominant fashion. Now he's too big for Tank, and he shouldn't even be calling Tank out because he's weighing in at 165. He's being a weight bully. He's trying to take advantage of a small guy. It was just all good a week ago for these guys to fight. Now they want to put a witness protection program in place for something Tank doesn't need at all. We all saw Tank go up to 140 pounds to fight Mario Barrios, in which he knocked out Mario Barrios, okay? The same Mario Barrios that has gone on to fight Keith Thurman at 147 and not get stopped, and then just beat up your Dennis Ugas in great fashion. That's also was a welterweight. So Tank Davis has enough power and enough skill to fight at 140, or he wouldn't have went up there. So now all of a sudden, and I love Tank Davis. This is not a knock against Tank Davis at all, but it's a knock to this whole notion that the fans are bringing up. Now, it's a misconception about weight, and I don't know how to get it through some of these content creators' thick-ass skulls. Particularly, there's a guy, I'm going to call out his name. I'm not going to do this too often, but Fanon Boxing. I watch Fanon International Boxing sometimes just because he entertains me because, he does articulate himself well, and he does have some topics that I like listening to. But I do believe he's equivalent to Spam, and he's nothing more than emotional fan of certain guys that became scorn particularly when Earl Spence got destroyed by Terrence Crawford. And now he's another one that's spreading a lot of bullshit when it comes to this Tank Davis with the weight situation. And for those that really want the information, I'll help you out right now. If you want to stay and be like a fucking blind witness and let that man convince you to pay more money for a Braille book because it's in color, then you do so. But I'm going to share the real information. When it comes to rehydration, once again, I made a video talking about weight classes and all that kind of stuff. But to say that Devin Haney is too big because he weighed in at 165 pounds the day of the fight, not the weigh-in, okay? So there's a contracted weight, okay? 140 is a contracted weight that Tank Davis has fought at before. Now, he did say something about not feeling, he didn't step on the gas because he felt like with Mario Barrios being a 140-pounder, he didn't just want to get caught with something because he wasn't sure how he was going to deal with the power, and he also wasn't sure how his punches would affect Mario Barrios, so he was apprehensive, which is okay to be apprehensive. He came out there still ultimately gained enough confidence to go out there, get the stoppage, and destroy Mario Barrios. Okay, so that's concern, okay? They coming up with all kind of things saying he said he's not comfortable at the weight. That's not what he said, number one. He said he was apprehensive. He didn't want to step on it because he knew the guy was bigger, and he wasn't sure how he would respond and how the other fighter would respond. Understandable. So when it comes to weight, once again, the weight contracted means that's the weight that you have to weigh in at the day before the fight. Okay? The day before the fight. The weigh-ins take place the evening before the fight or the day before the fight. And these guys don't fight until sometime damn near 12 midnight the following day. So it's really the next day when the fight card starts. But some of them guys don't step into the ring till 11:30, damn near 12. So you got 36 hours, 36 to 40 hours after the weigh-in before they actually step into the damn ring again. Sometimes like 36 hours. You can rehydrate to whatever weight you want to gain your strength back. Cutting weight for the fight is brutal. Most of these guys are dehydrating themselves, okay? This is water weight. So they're dehydrating themselves down as low as they possibly can get. Some of these guys are so weak, sometimes they fall out on scales. It's damaging to the organs. There's not a lot of fluid around the brain. It's a lot of things going on with those weight cuts. And different guys rehydrate to different levels based on their body composition. So you can have two guys. You can have one guy that walks around at 178 pounds, and you can have another guy that walks around at 178 pounds. One of these guys can have the ability to make 147 pounds, and the other guy can't get down past 160. Okay? This is how it works. I.e., if one of the guys carries more fat and more water weight, he may be able to trim down to lower weight classes safer than the other guy who may have more bone density and more muscle mass with his 178 pounds. He may only be able to get down to middleweight. Him and the other guy, they walk around at the same weight, but their composition is different. So one of them is able to make a weight more comfortably than the other one can. That doesn't mean that one guy's cheating if he comes in the next day and he's 25 pounds bigger than he was at the weigh-in. They're not true pounds. That's water weight he's putting on. He's rehydrating himself, having a decent meal. The guy's not sitting around like it's an episode of The Clump. You can't gain weight like that, just like you can't lose real weight like that. So all of these excuses for why he shouldn't fight, listen, Tank weighed in at 140 pounds. He's not going to come in the ring at 165 pounds because his frame is different and his composition is different. He doesn't hold that. He may not hold as much water and as much fat when he's just regularly walking around. So therefore, he's not going to be able to lose as much, and he's not going to be able to put as much back on the following day. The contracted weight is all you have to weigh in at. Now, the IBF did have a rule for their belt. Listen up. They're the only sanctioning body that had a morning of mandatory weigh-in where the fighter couldn't rehydrate more than 10 pounds of his contracted weight. Okay? They had that rule in place. However, they stopped that because they realized that although they had that in place, a fighter could skip it. They could choose to participate in that morning of weigh-in or not participate in that morning of weigh-in. They could choose to say, you know what, I'm not even going to weigh in the next morning. They still allowed to fight, and they don't have to pay any fines. The only thing is they're not allowed to win the belt. So even if you win the fight, you can't win the IBF belt if you came in more than 10 pounds over the weight. However, the fighter that did sacrifice and not rehydrate more than 10 pounds by the morning of, is now they felt like he was at a disadvantage because the other guy still being able to fight him, he's going to balloon up a little bit more. So they felt like it's not an even playing field. So they just got rid of the rule altogether. So that rule doesn't even exist anymore in the IBF. A prime example of that was Danny Jacobs against Gennady Golovkin. Daniel Jacobs said, you know what, I'd rather feel at my healthiest coming into the ring against Triple G So he didn't even participate. He didn't even get weighed the day of. He didn't get weighed the morning of. Gennady Golovkin did, and he wasn't more than 10 pounds. So he was able to still retain his belt. Jacobs just said, I'd rather just win, be at my healthiest to try to win the fight and not worry about picking up that belt, because I want to be at my healthiest. I want my chin to be there. I don't want to be drained at all. He didn't pay a fine. What he did was perfectly legal. He just, by the rules of the IBF, could not take the belt if he won. However, he lost the fight anyway. So, but his stock went up because he did great. And he was still able to get more lucrative fights later. And he gained a lot more buzz around himself and dispelled a lot of the things about him not having a good chin and this, that, and the third by still going on with that fight against Gennady Golovkin. So, if you're looking for real information, you can't go to guys like that because they're emotionally driven. Come here. Go to another channel that you may like that actually will give you the facts over their personal feelings, and you'll be better off because you'll have better information. And the more informed you are, the less likely you will be influenced by guys that are too emotionally invested and everything they say is biased around protecting certain fighters and just trying to kill other guys. That's what I'm going to leave this video at, man. I want to thank you guys for joining into another edition of the Hurt Business 101. You know what they say, it's no business like show business, but I say it's no business like the hurt business. 101 done.